Hi, I am Andrea Vickers-Sivret here with Lisa Putnam at the Bridge Memorial Library in Walpole, New Hampshire, and we are going to put together an IEP organization binder. So if you have a child who is in special ed, you know that there is a lot of documentation that comes along with that, and maybe it's all pushed in one place. All of my stuff was in a drawer somewhere. And when you have everything that you need in one place organized, you feel prepared and empowered to be able to go to your next IEP meeting with the information at hand to help you to best advocate for your child. So, below the video will be eventually directions on how to get your binder set up and other materials that will help to keep your binder organized throughout time. So Lisa has agreed to go through the process with us. Some organizing has been done prior just to speed up the video. So step one is to set up your IEP binder. And you would, so the actual binder, and you're going to create 6 tabs for the 6 sections. So there's separators. Do you have the, so those dividers. So on those dividers, you're going to label communications, and that's where you would keep all of your communications with the school, with doctors, anybody that has anything to do with your child, and you should record it. So you want to make sure that every communication is documented, and you can write down, included as a communication log. This is contacts, and there's a communication log as well where you can say who you spoke to, on what date, and what was discussed. That will be in the communication tab. In the IEP tab will be your child's IEP. And depending on how long your child has been in the special education, you may have multiple IEPs and drafts of IEPs. And so you should gather all of those and put those in one pile, just the IEPs. So and then evaluations, which would be any evaluation done by a doctor or the school. Any evaluation would go in that section. Report cards and progress reports is section 4. Section 5 is work samples. So if you've gathered anything that your child has brought home, writing pieces, even drawing, depending on their disability, you want to keep those work samples and have them as an example. So if there's something specific that you're concerned about, you can easily go to it and even compare. This is where they were last year. This is where they are now. Did they make enough progress? And then behavior is the 6th and last category. And that would be dependent on your child as well, where if there's any documentation on detentions or in-school suspensions or communications with administration, anything having to do with their behavior, you would keep in that section. So you take your dividers and you put them in a 3-ring binder, which Lisa has done. It's very pretty. I think it
do these go in the pocket, or do they?
So, no, so we've created a label for each section on a piece of paper. You can have it at the beginning of each section if you want to. I used these as kind of posters to help me organize all of my material. So when I organized, I took all of these and I placed them in front of me. And then as I went through the documents, I put them into their piles. It's important to note to keep the poster up at the top of the pile, because as you put documents on top of it, you're covering the label. And then you go, where's my behavior pile? Yes, yeah. So once you've set up your binder, label the dividers, put them in the 3-ring binder, your next step is to collect all of your documents. And that may be in one space if you're lucky, or it may be in multiple spaces around your house. Wherever they are, gather them. That's your IEPs, your report cards, your evaluations, anything that's related to your child and school. Step 3 is prepare to organize. Label the 6 piles with the sheets provided. That's these. That helps me. That's how I organize. I need to have something that tells me where to go because I am forgetful, and especially with paper, it's not easy to know what's what. If something's an eval or if something's a report card, when it's all blended together, it looks the same. So for me, it's very helpful to have the paper in front of us. So we can do that with Lisa. So Lisa's got it for the most part.
Ton of paper.
Yeah. So we've got.
Start with the IEP because I don't have anything for the communication.
Okay.
Piece. Right?
Yep.
Other than the
so the communication section will just be a list of contacts, and we have a form for that, and then the form where you keep track of, which isn't there, your contact tracker, where you keep track of the conversations that you have, emails that you've sent, any communication. It is really important to note it because if you've agreed on something with a school, you want to be able to note when that was agreed upon and refer back to it. So it's handy. And so then you don't have to search in your Gmail, whatever keywords it was that you thought might have to do with it. So the communication section is just that. So there shouldn't be anything unless you've already saved things, or if you have printed out emails, then that's a great place to put that. So yes, the IEP you could start with.
It's like a phone book, and this is pared down too. Yeah.
Evaluations is here.
There.
Report cards here. Work samples. Oh, that's where the IEP.
Well, I have work samples, but I think they're mixed in with the IEP bundle. Yeah, I see some right here.
Okay.
So I can just pull those out.
Yeah, pull those out. So there we go. Yeah.
Oh, I took that. I put it in the binder.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
IEP, yeah.
And it looks so nice and neat. Lisa, did it look like this yesterday?
No.
No.
My entire dining room and bed were covered with papers and more papers.
Right.
Yeah.
So isn't it nice to see it here?
No, it's great. And I think it's important once you've done the hard work, then to stay on top of it. Because with IEPs, as you know, you get the drafts. And then sometimes there's another draft. And if you don't toss them out right away, then, you know, you're winding up like with paper confetti. Right. So it's great. So I'm excited to have this.
And it'll be nice to have it in one place and to be able to bring it. And then you look like a mom that's got your stuff together, right?
I don't know what you're flying here, but
no. So when you come in and you have it, you look prepared.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I'm glad to have everything in like one spot.
And it's nice to also, in past when I've gone into IEP meetings for my son, and we're talking about new goals and new progress monitoring information, it's really nice to have last year's IEP right there when I can say, oh, but last year we said we were going to do this. How does that differ this year? It's nice to have that as a reference because a lot of times I feel like I just kind of go with the flow and whatever you say, that works. And, you know, most of the time they're right, but it's also nice to say, well, where were they last year and what did it look like before? And then be able to compare it. And if you have it right there, there's no question. Or even for testing, for evals, you know, students will get reevaluated every 3 years. And if you have the evaluations from the 3 years previously, you can compare how they grew and then how they were determined to be eligible for special education. So it's nice to have everything as a reference and have it all put together so you're not searching for it in my drawer of everything.
Well, right. And inclusive, I think, of having, you have the IEP and then you have the progress reports from the different specialists, recreational specialists, OTs, speech, and then you can even compare that. You can break it down, but because it's all organized in its own little section, it's easy. It's much simpler. Yeah. So, I'm ready for the next meeting.
Right. In evals, I also want to say, because it's evals for the district and for doctors, but you can also put in state testing in that. So in our district, we do MAPS testing, and then there's the state testing. But the MAPS testing, they do 3 times a year, and it's really nice to be able to see where were they before and keep it right at hand. I use it a lot also to compare to my other kids too, which maybe you shouldn't do, but I do, just to say, where were they when they were in first grade?
Yeah.
So once you've sorted all of your stuff, and that is the biggest piece of it, is getting all of your documentation and organizing it. That will take the longest, but with the system, you can kind of rapid fire get it organized. The next step, step 3, is prepare to organize. Label the 6 piles. We did that. Step 4, sort your paperwork. Lisa already did that. So it's sorted. Begin to sort. Little by little, take a pile of your documents and sort them into the 6 sections. As you begin to sort, this is true, you may realize that there are subcategories. So, for example, I'm just going to grab my son's binder, which I took apart before the meeting. But what I realized in my eval section was that there were different types of evaluation. So I made a tab for math testing. I made a tab for special ed testing. I made a tab for vision. And I made a tab for our hospital where he was evaluated. So once you get going, you might realize, or for progress reports or for years, and you may want to make subcategories within the larger categories. And I would do that by either simply using Post-it notes to make a little separator, or these really, I love these tabs. I love these little tabs. They were Martha Stewart. But I don't even know if you can get them anymore. But any tab will do, and you can use a Post-it note and just write your subcategory on it. And I would do that also when you get into the report card section where you're going to sort it by year. So once you've sorted your paperwork, then you're going to take it and put it in chronological order. You're going to have your oldest document in the back and your newest document in the front. So the oldest IEP should be in the back, and then when you open that section, it should be the newest IEP. So your current IEP should be on the top. So that's already also done because Lisa did the hard work yesterday. Then separate it into the subcategories. Once all of your categories are sorted, they're put in chronological order, you can put in the subcategories. Step 7 is to 3-hole punch, which Lisa may do. Where do I put it? Lisa will kind of plug away at as I talk. Once you 3-hole punch, and if you know the heavier duty 3-hole punch that you can get, the better, because IEPs can be thick. Step 8 is then to fill the binder. Place the 3-hole punch documents in the section they belong to. Step 9, mark the subcategories. Step 10 is to put in your organizer, IEP organizer materials. So there is your communication log, your contact list, and your IEP binder list. And those will all be put in a link at the bottom of the video. One other piece to think about, so the communication piece should be at the front because that may be the part that you're going to use the most. If you communicate with your school often, which tends to be, is the safeguards. So at the beginning of every at the beginning of every, and now I've lost my section because I took all my dividers out. At the beginning of every special ed IEP meeting, your special ed teacher will ask you if you would like to have your safeguards. So we have New Hampshire Special Ed Procedural Safeguards Handbook. This is something that is offered to you at every meeting, and you may not know what it is. And so inside are all of your rights and the laws that pertain to special education and what your child and you are entitled to. So if you ever have a question, even about the process of being identified, it's all in this. And oftentimes, oh yeah, don't worry about it. I'm good. I don't need it. Or I have it somewhere. You do. So it's important you can have it right there. And then if you do ever have any questions about what you are entitled to or what your child is entitled to, you can look through this and see. And I'll also note that I'm a volunteer advocate for PIC New Hampshire, which is the Parent Information Center in New Hampshire. Most states have a PIC group, and they help to advocate and empower families. So if you ever do have a question about special education, you can go to PIC, and they will help you. So that's the Parent Information Center. New Hampshire is PIC-NH, and it's PIC, PICNH.org. They are incredibly helpful and will help you to sort out what's best for you and best for your child. So keep the safeguards, keep them at the front of your IEP section. And if you have more questions, contact PIC. So I think, oh yes, my favorite part, but I didn't bring it. So when you go into meetings, typically you'll end up taking notes or you'll have questions. So if you have a pencil case pouch, that's something that you should keep at the very front of your IEP binder so that you've got your Post-it notes, you have your pens, pencils, erasers. I'm not sure what else you would need. Pens, pencils, erasers, and Post-it notes. I think that's all you need. But then there's no question, and maybe bring a couple to keep in there. And then you feel really ready, and it's not a rush getting out the door, because it always is. And you have it there instead of going and saying, oh gosh, I don't have a pen. So you will have, if you follow these steps, you will have everything that you need to go to your next IEP meeting and feel really ready to work with the special education team. And with knowledge, you'll have all of the knowledge that you need for your child to get what you feel like is best for them. So again, if you have any further questions, need any more help, contact PIC New Hampshire and check out the links below for any of our material resources. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you,
Thank
Andrea.
you, Julie. There's her hand.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys